My name is Pablo O'Brien. I'm Director of Product Management at Yahoo Travel, and I'm responsible for day-to-day operations of Yahoo Travel.
We were just talking just now about Thanksgiving coming up.
Right.
People thinking about holidays, turning their attention to having a break. You're going away. How many people do you think, what sort of percentage of people in the US at Thanksgiving are starting to actually cut back on that travel? How's it hitting those non-sort of core summer holiday breaks, do you think?
Yeah, so we actually just did a survey on this, so it's a good question. We did a survey. 81% of the people that we surveyed have mentioned that finances are going to impact their holiday travel this year, either at Thanksgiving or Christmas, because a lot of families would travel possibly at both holidays. A lot of them are now starting to travel only one of the holidays, or they may do things like drive, where they might have flown earlier. So for example, here in California, if you're driving from Southern California to Northern California, you might have flown last year. This year you might opt to drive. So there's, like I said, there's 81% of respondents said it is going to impact them.
And what's Yahoo Travel doing to try and tickle that market back?
Sure.
How do you actually start getting enthusiasm again, or is there just nothing you can do if people's pockets are empty?
Yeah, no, I think the enthusiasm is there. I think the underlying desire to travel is there, and so what we need to do is give people the tools and the way to find the sorts of trips that make sense for them at this point. So we have a travel search product, Fairchase, which allows you to go out and search multiple sites for the best prices on airfares, hotels, and cars. And we're seeing a very good usage of that right now. We also have a product called Destination Finder less for holiday travel, more about what am I going to do next weekend. And it allows you to put in certain parameters, like I want to drive 2 hours away, I want to drive 4 hours away, and I want to go for a budget travel experience that is also a romantic destination. And what it does is it takes other users' tags. So other users come in and they tag destinations as family-friendly, adventurous, budget, all those sorts of things, and we sift through all that user-generated data to give back to other users to say, hey, you're looking for a budget romantic vacation within 4 hours drive of you. And the interesting thing is that it actually generates some unlikely destinations. So coming from Northern California, and I put in something like that, I started seeing things like Pismo Beach, which is near the Hearst Castle. Might not have been top of mind for me normally, but then I started thinking about it and go, yeah, it actually has some nice features. It's a 2-hour drive from my house, and maybe I'll start doing some research on that destination as opposed to going to Tahoe or San Francisco or Napa, which are more expensive destinations.
So these sorts of features and functionality, is that what's keeping Yahoo Travel ahead? Because obviously, it's one brand now amongst many, whereas before Yahoo was 3-4 years ago, big player.
Yeah.
Are you struggling for market share?
We're actually growing market share. So if you take a look at ComStore numbers over the last several months and last half year, we actually have a bigger share of the online travel market.
And who are you getting that from?
From ComStore.
No, who are you?
Who are we taking it away from?
Yes.
It's hard to say. Everyone's been bouncing around. We spend less time about thinking about who we're taking it from and more time thinking about just growing our share of the pie.
Because the pie is the same, if not shrinking.
Exactly, but we're not doing a lot of like, oh, we're going to go after TripAdvisor, or oh, we're going to go. I don't know if that sort of strategy works terribly well. We're much more focused on just getting the right set of experiences for users, optimizing our site for search engine optimization, working on our marketing programs, our outreach in terms of emails, that sort of thing. And it's working fairly well. One of the nice things is, like I said, we're now, it's a shrinking pie, but we have a bigger part of a shrinking pie.
Do you think it pays to not be a cutting-edge innovator, to actually tuck behind some of those cutting-edge innovators and then either copy or buy, which is potentially what your model has been a little more, is to try and sort of just keep up with, but only take the good ideas. Has that worked for you, or do you think you need to push that innovation now?
Well, I would say that that is true in certain cases. We do copy, just like everybody else in the industry. We have very good technologists. So one of the things that we can do in Yahoo Travel that other pure travel players don't have access to is there's a lot of innovation going on across Yahoo. So we can pull in our new product that we're going to be rolling out, it's rolled out in beta, we'll be rolling it out full-time next year, it includes things like upcoming.com, which is an events organizing site. So in a travel site, we're really one of the first to have a fully fledged event product in there. Yahoo Answers, we can pull in. Flickr, there's 3 billion photos, several 100,000 geotagged photos. Those are the sorts of things that most travel startups, there's some really intelligent, creative people out there, but they don't have the resources to do more than one cool thing at a time. And we sort of have the ability to pick and choose across all of these things and pull them together into one experience.
Do you think you've made the most of Flickr?
Yahoo Travel?
Yeah.
No, I don't. But we will. As of January 1st, we will have exclusively Flickr photos on the site. There will be users will have the ability to vote on photos within Yahoo Travel. So they come with a ranking from Flickr. Many times you'll see photos that are beautiful photos of, let's say, Paris, but not necessarily appropriate for a travel context, right? You'll see a beautiful photo of a model in Paris, beautifully done, light, lit, whatever. That's great. It's not particularly relevant to somebody who wants to go to Paris. So we're going to allow users to vote in a travel context to say, well, that's a great photo, but not for here. What would be a great photo would be, a photo of the Louvre at night, and that gives me a context of where I want to go.
And the tagging and the kind of the ability to sort of slice and dice that huge library of
that all comes along.
Answers and UGC and the Flickr. Can you bring all that together and actually create a really big, really powerful UGC travel site?
Yes, we can. And in fact, we already have. One of the nice things is we can generate UGC on our site, but we can also pull in all the UGC that was generated on those specific product sites. So people who go to upcoming.com are passionate about events, and they're passionate about putting in a spoken word poetry jam in Los Angeles, as well as putting in, a Madonna concert at the Greek. So that's where a lot of that UGC is coming. We're just the recipient of it. Now, you can also add through Yahoo Travel, but the Flickr community is huge and incredibly passionate. We'll let them generate and capture all that UGC, and we'll figure out a good way to display it.
And I suppose at the end of the day, you need to then figure out a good way of converting and making money out of all of this
There
stuff.
is that, right? And so what Steve said in terms of TripAdvisor and TravelPod, that is absolutely true. The closer you are to the purchase, the more you can charge your partners and advertisers for a click, because it's a more qualified click.
So you're seeing your revenues still being very much ad-based rather than totally about sort of conversion to booking on your site at the moment. What's the percentage split?
I would say, well, we don't give out particular numbers, but I would say roughly most of the revenue that we generate is generated by leads. So it's generated as a PPC model that we click off to our partners, and the conversion happens on their site. And
so they're going to be pushing you harder and harder, aren't they, over the course of the next 12, 18 months as they feel the crunch?
As they feel the crunch, they need to have a good source of a large source of qualified traffic, and that's our job to provide to them. So how do we get these users who are browsing at a high level, doing all this thing, how do we keep them on our site? How do we get them to the part of the booking process where they're very close to making a booking, and then help them find the right partner to actually do the booking and make the conversion on their site?
That's the golden question. Like, it's just all working on it.
We're always working on it. It's just a question of constant optimization. You try one thing, doesn't work. Try another thing, that works pretty well, but maybe you can tweak it a bit. So it is. It's not a new model. We've been around for a while. We're fairly good at it. TripAdvisor's good at it. There's just a couple in the industry who are pretty good at kind of pushing that source of good qualified traffic out. And it's a balance between how much information you give to people so that they are a qualified lead, and without losing their interest altogether. Don't make them jump through hoops.
Okay, thank you very much indeed.
You're very welcome.